Hey there. Do you ever wonder how the rich seemingly get richer year after year while you're still struggling? Or do you wonder, what are you going to leave behind for your kids? What kind of legacy will you leave for your heirs? What about you'd like to know more about financial freedom through passive and residual income? If any of these are topics you'd like to know more about, but you don't know where to start, let's get connected. I have a 10-part strategy to grow, protect, and transfer wealth that I call Pitranomics. I'm Juli Pitra. Join me in my Facebook group, and let's grow together. See you soon. Hi, everybody. This is Juli Pitra, and I'm here for my Thursday talk about Pitranomics, my 10-part strategy to grow, protect, and transfer wealth. And thank you to all who are joining. This is my second week, I believe, of doing this publicly. Last week, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. It didn't show up on my Facebook page, but it's now streaming to my Facebook page, my Pitranomics group, and my YouTube channel. So I'm really excited to start this journey. Last week, I did kind of an overview of the 10 strategies. And so what I'll do is add this presentation. If we can make that presentation view, that'd be awesome. Because right now, it's what, Canva view? Let's see. There we go. So tonight, we're going to talk about the first strategy. And that's just my intro page, so we can go to the next one. And unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to present and draw on it and moderate at the same time. So I have some help. I want to just thank everyone that's on here helping me to make this go smoothly. So anyway, we discussed last week, these are the 10 strategies of Pitranomics. And today we're going to focus on the assessment. It's where am I? So as you know, if you're going to start a long journey, it's really important that you know where you're going. Where's your end path? And what is your motivation? What is the thing that's going to keep you fired up the whole way? And so I have some friends that recently ran a marathon. And I got to tell you, I mean, there's no way I'm going to do it. But that was something that they trained for. It was daily preparation. It was goal setting. It was keeping up with milestones. And life is a lot like a marathon. You have to decide what's going to motivate you during the times when it's just not a lot of fun. Anything worth doing isn't a barrel of laughs every single day. So that's why in our first strategy of where am I, we start with defining your end of life goals, what I call EOLs. It's really important that these are life purpose type goals. A lot of people put money or money goals as a life goal, but honestly, at the end of your life, if you haven't accomplished your goal and because of that you feel you haven't served your life's purpose, that's the goal I'm talking about, that one that you will dedicate your life to. Hopefully someone will share a goal that they'd like to accomplish and we can dissect it and go through the process. If not, I have the tried and true that I talk about that regards my kids. And one of my goals with my husband is to develop productive, don't forget that key word, members of society as children. So we weren't trying to be their friends, which I've not been raised to do that. That's not how I was raised. My mother became my friend once I became a sane, productive, and independent member of society. Not her peer, but peerish. And that's something that we're still working toward. My daughter just graduated from college last weekend. My son's he's starting his junior year this fall. They're on their way, but trying to define what that goal looks like is really a lifetime thing. Because first we start with the babies, then the toddlers, then the elementary school kids, then the high school kids, college kids, young adults, parents. You're constantly their guide. So that goal has validity throughout your entire life. Once you set those goals, and I believe that 3 to 5 should do you, those should be enough to help guide your life. Once you've defined those goals, then you need to figure out what resources you have available to accomplish those goals. Now, there are lots of resources, but within Pitranomics, we focus on money, energy, and time. It's really important to remember that these are finite resources. No matter how much money, energy, and time it seems that you have, there's a certain amount which requires that you prioritize those resources according to what's important to you. The end of life goals, of course, but there's also survival. There's shelter, there's food. Those sorts of things have to take up an allocation of your resources. So it's important to understand exactly where you start. Now, just to let y'all know, I am going to be trying something with drawing on my presentation because I like to scribble while it's showing here. So let's see how it goes. Please be patient. All right, thanks. So let's talk about money. And I need to go to that particular slide. It's a good idea to understand what your net worth is as far as money. What are the resources you have, the assets? What are the liabilities? And that tells you what your net worth is. And then you should be able to develop goals that help you grow your net worth according to what your end of life goals are. So don't start with how much money you want to be worth. Start with what it is you want to accomplish in life and what is necessary in terms of money, energy, and time to accomplish it. I think most people are familiar with how to assess where you are, but we'll just do kind of a very rough overview. So let me go back to my pen. You have to look, oh, don't like that thickness. There we go. Let me erase that. Oh, sorry, trying to erase. Why isn't it erasing? Like I said, please be patient with these technical difficulties. All right. And here we go. So let's start with our assets. So we might have something like bank accounts. And for me, an asset is something that has intrinsic value that if necessary, you could sell it, or it provides residual income that you can accumulate and track. So you've got your bank accounts, you've got, let's say, your brokerage accounts, you've got property, you might have retirement accounts, and my handwriting's horrible, so you might have any of those types of accounts. Now, what's common is that people just don't hold assets free and clear. I don't, and there are people that do, but the majority of us hold assets. Let's even put our cars and our jewelry and all that. But most people also, let's go to the next page, please. Most of us also have what are liabilities. So we might have credit card debt. We might have loans on our assets, say on our cars, on our house, on our rental property. We have these things that enable us to get them without having the cash. So if someone has no debt at all, then their assets equals their net worth. For the rest of us, we've got some work to do. So, and then your net worth is just going to be your assets, the value of your assets minus the value of your liabilities. Can I spell liabilities? There we go. And I'm not good with writing with this pen just yet, so be patient. So if someone says they have a net worth of, let's say, $100,000, that doesn't mean they don't own much. It just means they own a lot and maybe they have a lot of leverage. Conversely, someone could have a net worth of $100,000 and just have $100,000 in the bank and don't have any assets whatsoever. The important thing to remember is the number of your net worth is not what defines your success. The net worth that defines your success is that which is necessary to accomplish your goals. So let's go back to my goal with my husband of sane, independent, productive members of society. One of those things we wanted to provide for our children is a college education, and that required funding. It would either be money that we saved and grew, or loans, or grants, or scholarships, any of that. But we needed to provide the means, and we needed to start planning fairly early to get that done. That is one of the things that we wanted to be able to give to our children, to provide to our children, so that we could help accomplish that goal of sane, independent, and productive members of society. It was my hope that I would be able to deliver for our children college education that they could have without being in debt themselves. My husband and I would say this is probably mostly due to my husband, the diligence in saving for their college education. So far, we've got one out. And as far as school debt, I think she's pretty clear. Let's hope she doesn't incur a whole bunch of other debt. But as of right now, she's not going to be carrying college debt. That gives her a little bit of a step up over those that are saddled with somewhat cumbersome debt. It doesn't mean that those people with debt can't accomplish their goals. It just has to include those allocation of resources, and some of those are incurring liabilities. Now, let's turn this back on. The next thing that you need to consider in your resources is your energy. Now, one of the things that I don't think people do enough is protect their sources of energy. Let's compare and contrast my daughter, Jacqueline, who is an extreme extrovert, with me, and I am not an extreme extrovert. You have to protect the energy that you have to go to work, to run your household, to maintain your relationships, to accomplish your goals. All of that stuff has your level of finite energy. So you have to take care of that. You have to maximize that. Get proper rest. I'm a big fan of drinking lots of water. I believe that that helps keep my energy level high. Eat the right foods. Spend time with people that fill your cup. Part of the strategies in Pitranomics, one of them is, who is in your lifeboat? Are they helping you to paddle, or are they causing you to sink? I believe that people around you can be serious energy drains, or they can be providers of energy into your cup. It's important to know, and it's important to conduct yourself and your life so that you're at your highest energy state to be able to pursue your goals and effectively allocate those resources. So, for example, if you're in a state where you go to work and you come home and you have no energy to do anything but sit in front of the TV and while away your hours, well, either your end of life goals have to be modest enough so that's not going to deter them, or you're not really going to see success in accomplishing those goals. But you can also think of ways to help better your energy states. I started about, I want to say 4 weeks ago, maybe it was 5, really cutting out carbs and sugar so I could feel better, so I could do more of the things I want to do. I did have a little cheat this weekend because I was in Chicago at my daughter's graduation, and Chicago has amazing food. So I did have to do a little cheat, but I'm back to the program today and yesterday, and I'm feeling a whole lot better. Plus, I went to see my doctor today, and my blood pressure is so much better. Am I oversharing? I'm just trying to explain that you are in charge of your own energy levels. You have to make sure you do the best to maintain yourself at your highest state and to make sure you don't have any unnecessary drains. So let me get this back up. So if we talk about energy, let's make sure we're dealing with our health. Let's make sure we have enough rest. Let's make sure we have an energizing diet and habits. So, for example, I love chocolate. It's been really hard limiting myself on that, but I'm finding that taking out some of the sugar is reducing the inflammation, which makes me feel a lot of pain. And reducing the pain allows me to feel more energized to accomplish the things that I want. And I sleep better. So then I'm also resting myself better. So there's your energy, and then there's the people. Now, I don't really want to belabor the point too much about extrovert versus introvert or whatever type of personality you are. Just be mindful. Make sure you do what you need to do to fill your cup. I enjoy conversation more than anything. Somebody spending time with me that I care about, who cares about me, and we are focused on each other. And then no matter how much I love that person, at one point I'm going to need to go to my own corner so I can recharge. Even being around people that I love, adore, and respect and admire, all of that reduces my energy battery some. So I have to be mindful and go back and recharge myself. Contrast that with my daughter. She's at a lower energy state when she's alone all the time. So she needs to be around the people that fills her cup. And that's okay. Just kind of know thyself and take care of thyself. So that's what's really, really important about your energy. Take care of your health. Make sure you're rested. Take care of your body. Take care of your mind. And there's one more thing I want to add. Take care of your mental health, because there's nothing that's going to slow you down more than not taking care of your mental health. For example, I talk to a therapist regularly. It's part of my schedule. I try really hard not to miss it. It's not because I don't have anybody else to talk to, but what I'm looking for is a little objectivity and conversation with someone who is experienced to communicate with me tools to deal with something. I don't consider seeking mental health assistance a weakness. I know some do, and you got to fill your cup as best you can. If that's not what you want to do, fine. But I find it very necessary, and I've been doing it for years. So not 4 years, but for a lot of years. And it's helped me deal with some of the things. Like before I met her, I never had really grieved my mother. And by the time I started with my therapy, she'd been dead 18 years. So that's a long time to carry around something that was prohibiting me from advancing. And I have grown a lot in the past few years. I was 50 years old when I decided I wanted to do something else rather than be a stay-at-home mom. That's a complete life shift. And I have had some obstacles along the way, and some frustrations and some setbacks. And my therapist, through consistently going, has helped me, I won't say glide through it. That's not the case. It's helped me have the tools, use the tools, learn new tools to deal with that, which in turn keeps my energy level higher enough to deal with all the things that I have in my life. Right now, I would say I'm a fairly happy person. I don't giggle every day, but I try to have some wonderful laughter. I spend time with people that fulfill me and encourage me and stretch me. And I hope I'm doing the same for the people that are around me. I hope I'm doing the same for you. I hope I'm filling your cup. So, and one thing about this keeps going off. I'm going to figure this out. Okay, so let's move to the next one, which will be, we'll just skip ahead to time. Now, one tool, and anybody can do it with a spreadsheet, is to block out each hour or each half hour, however you are able to compartmentalize your day. Do it for a week, and then do it for a month, and then do it for a year, and try to figure out where are you spending large blocks of time. So the first thing to do is to make sure you have time to rest. And if you're working in a job or a career that's separate from the time you have to allocate to your goals, well, you need to map that out too. And if you have relationships or you're starting a relationship, well, those take time. And you've got to make sure you save time to eat. And you have to make sure you save time to sometimes just veg. And then after all of that, you have time to contribute to your goals. So we're just going to say that's a week, and we're going to take a third of it. Not everybody needs the same amount of sleep. I do hear, and I'm just scribbling this here, I do hear that you need 8 hours of sleep, but I have known people that function fairly well with less and some people that require more. So there's my technological design for sleeping. Now let's add that you have to go to work. Well, because you got to pay for your shelter, pay for your food, pay for your life necessities. So this is work. First part is sleeping to make sure you rejuvenate. And then you have work. And let's say you have social, playtime, family time, running the kids to soccer. Before I sort of stopped being a stay-at-home mom, a great deal of my day was spent ferrying around my children or preparing to ferry around my children, making sure the food was right, making sure I was where I needed to be, that I had there's a lot of organization with running your children's lives. I don't know if people really think about that. That requires a lot of your time and a lot of your energy. So if this is your social, then let's change this color. What color shall I make it? Sort of red. Like I said, don't hate me for my drawing. This might be your time left over for your end of life goal allocation of time. If this is your schedule, this is not a lot of time, say out of your week, right? If this is your week, whoops, pretend I didn't write that. If this is your week, you don't have a lot of time. Once you put your goals to paper, once you commit yourself to them, and they are so powerful that they are your life's purpose, then you start naturally prioritizing your resources. You will realize what you have time for and what you don't. And the concept of affording is not whether you have the resource of time, energy, and money, but whether or not you have resources you'd like to allocate to something. So, for example, if you're a young person with very little responsibility, you might spend a lot of money on, I don't know, partying, going out to nightclubs. You have the time because maybe you're not in a relationship. I'm not saying that you can't be young and in a relationship. I'm just supposing. Let's say you're not in a committed relationship and you're young and you have plenty of disposable income. Maybe you will hang out at parties, at bars, at expensive nightclubs. Maybe you'll get table service and drink the fine liquors and hang out with the people and buy the clothes necessary to do that and such, because you don't have that priority. But once you do, once you decide, hey, this is the purpose to which I want to dedicate my life, what do I have in order to accomplish it? How do I make sure I take care of my essentials and my requirements and still pursue these goals that I'm making my life purpose? Prioritizing comes really, really naturally, at least the intention. You still might need some, help with the tools to do it, but the motivation is there. And that's what's most important, that you really, really, really prioritize, optimize those limited resources of money, energy, and time that you have available to accomplish the goals to which you yourself, that you've decided, or you with your partner, or you with your family have decided that's what you're going to dedicate your lives to. So that's basically the essence of where am I? Where am I headed? Those are your life goals. What is so important that these are life driving factors? And what resources do I have available to accomplish them? Now, almost any self-help program will talk about setting your goals. So I don't feel like I'm offering anything new here, but my definition of what makes an end of life goal, I just want you to imagine that you know you will die tomorrow. You know for a fact. You don't have any more time. What will you regret not accomplishing? Is it powerful enough to set your life to it now? I don't know if all of you know this, but I lost my mother. She was only 57 years old. Breast cancer took her way before her time. And I'm glad that we had a lot of opportunity to just sit and talk. She got sick in October and then she was gone by December. So it was quick. It was quick, but it was long because I was in a position where I was able to come and just spend a lot of time. And that time was crucial. And one of the things she said to me, she wasn't ready to die. She didn't want to. She wanted to keep living. She wanted to see me married and with kids, but that wasn't an option for her. And she said to me, I have no regrets. That is extremely powerful for someone to be able to say when they've been told by their doctor they have months to live and their body is rapidly failing. So even the type of living that she would have wanted to fit in her last months, she couldn't. But we had a lot of soul touching during those times. And I treasure those moments. I treasure the things that she said to me. But that's important to me, to be able to think, I'm about to face my maker. I've maybe not done everything I want to do. I'm not wanting to leave right now, but I have no regrets. And one of those things she told me about that she was so pleased is that she loved me. I was a very well loved child by my mother, very well loved. And I loved her. Try not to get a little emotional, but those are the kind of things that drive you in your life. And one of the reasons I want to dedicate myself to Pitranomics is because a lot of the teachings that I got from my mother about life and choices and money and relationships and all that. Keep in mind, I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. And sometimes they're not mistakes. They're intentional bad decisions. I'm not perfect. But those lessons, those guidelines form a big part of Pitranomics. And the other part is thanks to my husband and his family and the way he was raised and his parents and their teachings and their values, also very important. And that's why it comes together to be Pitranomics. Will you find these lessons elsewhere? Probably. I think I have my own twist to them. I would love to get some feedback. So anyone that wants to step forward and share or talk about the concepts we've discussed, your goals, or your understanding where you are and how you have your resources, I would love to have participation. I am going to be doing this basically every Thursday. So if you have any questions or feedback or testimonials or anything that you'd like to share, just put a notice in the private chat here because I can hear it. Oh, that's someone that says comment won't show up. That's Shalana. Shalana, I'm just going to add you and see if you have anything to share. By the way, this is my good friend Shalana, and she's great at goal setting, and she offers programs herself. So here's Shalana. Thank you. If you'll just unmute yourself and share what you'd like.
Hey, Julie, can you hear me? I was just checking. I'm on the other Facebook page to see if the comments are showing up, but I think they're showing up here. So thank you so much, Julie. That was awesome. And I got to say that everything that you said, I was writing down notes here, and a couple of things that you said about resources and just letting people know that when you're writing goals, people can be a resource. I know a lot of people think, oh, I have to have millions of dollars to pay for this and to pay for that. And sometimes the people that are in, you, as you mentioned it, your lifeboat can be a resource for you. And we take advantage, or sometimes we don't take advantage of the opportunity to share. So people will have goals and they are, well, I don't want to tell anybody because then if I tell them, the goal won't come through. Well, in some situations, if you don't say anything, you might not be able to hit the goal because that person can be a resource for you. So it's choosing very carefully. One of the things you said, who's in your lifeboat, is choosing those people carefully. Because if you're putting the wrong people in, they can unplug your boat. If you've ever seen one of those boats sinking in the middle of the waters, because they didn't plug it up before they went out. Right. So that one little safety thing, plugging that boat up, can cause the whole thing to sink. So be careful who you're letting in there and understand that they can be a resource.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And if I may share the story on how we got connected. So I had a listing that was stagnating last year before last, can't remember. And I posted in our broker's Facebook group, hey, I need some help. Don't know what to do here. This was kind of a problem. And Shalana, not knowing anything about me, but just with her giving spirit, hopped on there and said, hey, I can talk to you. And then we ended up talking on the phone, and you can hear from her voice. She has just a very upbeat way of speaking, and the energy just flowed through the phone. And she offered me suggestions that helped me get that property sold. And I was just like, I don't know what made you reach out and help me, but I'm so thankful that you did. And then we've been connecting back and forth. I guess it's been a couple of years, and I'm very thankful for Shalana being in my life. Not to mention, she told me I needed to start talking to people, and it took me a year and a half to actually go public. But you do it in your own time.
Yeah,
And
that's good. I
through
like
these sessions, I'm learning. I've learned so much from you, Shalana.
that's good. And I remember the conversation, and I said, Julie, you need to take the Pitranomics and go live because you're so good at this. And she looked at me with a smile and said, no.
I'm not doing it.
And now look at her today. She said she would
I know, right?
And that's the thing with goals is this was not a goal for you to go live, but you had somebody in your lifeboat who recognized something. And I'm recognizing like, man, Julie is an amazing teacher. Listen to how she speaks. Why isn't the world seeing this? And in your mind, you're like, no, I want it right here with my people on this Facebook page. But look at how many people can be impacted. They can share. As a matter of fact, if you're watching this, tag somebody in the comments and tell them to get over here because this is information Julie shares every single week. If people would just take the time to listen and implement, she makes it so easy for you to go back and implement versus you to go back and try to Google or YouTube what she just said. It's that practical application. And when you have someone who is sharing this kind of information, who's not saying, pay me $1,000 and then we'll see if it works, that's vital. That is important. And sometimes people can be in your lifeboat who you don't even know. Like I have people in my lifeboat, like we don't really know each other at all, but the things that they share are so critical to where I'm at on my goals that I'm constantly checking in to see, okay, where should I be pivoting? Where should I be moving? What should I be adjusting? So I thought it was really interesting to see. I think it was like 2 years ago, 2 years later, here, Julie.
Yeah, it's taken a while.
That's okay. It was your time. It was your timeline that needed to work,
Exactly.
not someone else's.
And you know what? You kind of got to me. Another thing was maybe my age, because I was facing becoming the age my mother was when she passed. I had like this date in my calendar when I would be the exact age. And I figured anytime after that would be bonus. Okay, if I'm running out of time, what do I want to accomplish? And one of the things is I would love for people to hear some of the things I was told by my mother, some of the guidelines, I don't want that to end with me. And I am glad to be able to do it now and share with other people.
Yeah.
There's something written here and I cannot read it. Hold on. I'm going to have to put my glasses on to read it.
Let me see
Sorry.
if I can read it. I got you. It says, what's the best way to approach when you are at the time when you got to the point that you don't know where you are or even you are at that place right now? I procrastinate that you are being left behind. So I think what he's trying to say is, how do you know when you're at the point where you are stuck? Because he's saying he doesn't know where he is. So that was the question.
I think that's a great question. Sometimes if you're either feeling that you're overwhelmed and lethargic and don't know where to turn, or if you feel like you're just spinning in circles, you need to go back to your goal and your focus. What are you trying to stay on? That's the first step. It is, I would say, for people who are talented in a great many areas, it's hard for them to pick one or two and stay focused. So they start spinning here and here and here and here.
Yeah.
and they never get anything really accomplished,
Mm-hmm.
not to the best of their ability. So if you either feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just not heading anywhere, or you feel really busy and you're not accomplishing anything, take the time to connect with someone that can provide some loving objectivity.
Yeah.
Someone who knows you, and seek that advice. Now, I will say, I love direct criticism, but not everybody has the stomach to just have it just given to them. I love that. You can't give me too much, but I know it's hard for people to give, and I know it's hard for them to take it from me. Well, at least I'm learning. We'll figure that out. But try to find that person who is dedicated to looking at you as objectively as they can, but with love, who knows you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have them help you maybe find some direction. Because it's really important you start with the direction. You have to know what drives you. It is too easy to give up on something if you don't know where you're going. So,
Yeah, and I want to just say something where, Jared, you said you felt like you were behind, and my question is, behind who?
thank you. Preach, girl. Behind who?
Right,
According
because
to whose standards?
yes, if you're comparing yourself, that's where the problem begins.
Mm.
You're feeling stuck because you're comparing yourself to what you see, and probably someone's doing the same thing that you're doing, but you may feel they're far ahead. Well, you don't know what they had to do in the background. You
Mm-mm.
don't know if they were handed the business. You don't know what their strategy was. So I'm asking, who are you behind? The only person you should be comparing yourself to is yourself.
You.
And we
Exactly.
procrastinate when we try to figure out or try to catch up to what someone else is doing. And that's not even our lane. You might be teaching for 30 years and then decide, I want to do something else. I want to go on a whole nother path. But if you continue to look at what someone else is doing, you will feel stuck and procrastinate. So you might have to get off social media. You might have to not block people, but you might have to unfollow or turn off the comments or turn off seeing their posts for a while, because you can be looking and it distracts you. And it distracts you from hitting your goals because you're like, man, Julie is out here with, 300 rental doors and I don't have anything. I'm behind. Why you compare yourself to Julie? Her
No.
goal and her path are totally different than yours. And if it's kind of the same, it's still different because you're not Julie. So who are you behind, Jerry? If you're still there, I would love to know who you're comparing yourself to, because that's the big question.
And also, one of the strategies in Pitranomics is the Joneses don't have Jack. We can't, people are always, keep up with the Joneses is an expression. Don't do that. Don't do that. Look at yourself. Look at where you are today. Okay. Then do better the next day and do better the next day. And then you'll look up and be like, oh, I've come a long way.
Yep.
I've come a long way. I'm not trying to be Susie because I don't know where Susie's headed. I don't know if I have Susie's resources. I don't know if Susie has my drive or I have hers.
Yeah.
So don't worry about Susie or any of the Joneses, Susie Jones or Ken Jones. Don't worry about any of those people. Look at yourself. And here's something else I want to kind of share. I said and touched on it a little bit. When I turned 50, I didn't just say, hey, I want to do something else. I kind of lost my mind. I was like, I know I don't want to do this. I don't know what I want to do. I'm tired of this. So I went through a process. And then I remembered my mother went through the same thing. My mother started out a teacher and got really burned out teaching junior high math and went back to school and became a programmer and then ended up working at NORAD and programming trajectories for missiles and satellites. Okay, that's a career change right there. You don't really expect that. Junior high teacher to computer programmer with a very high security clearance inside of Cheyenne Mountain. Yeah, that's a change. Yeah. So it's never too late to change. Now you might have to be a little realistic about what you can accomplish, set your goals accordingly, understand your resources, including time accordingly. But you can always make a big change. Oh, someone wrote the Julie twist is pretty awesome. Thank you. And somebody else said,
and I would say to that too, Julie, it's the thing sometimes we feel we're operating in a purpose that other people pick for us. You
Mm,
know, your parents wanted you to be this and you wanted to be that, but you adapted to what everyone else wanted you to be, but you had this strong pull to do something else. We
yes,
are
yeah.
granted one, as far as I know, we're granted one life and one
All right.
opportunity. You have to do with that what you feel you should be doing. And like your mom was in teaching, I was in teaching for 15 years and decided it's time to go. It's time for me to make that move for my own reasons. So someone watching me and saying, well, man, you did it 2 years for dual career and you made it look easy. You don't know that I ended up in the hospital because I was taking on more than I should have. So don't compare your story to mine, because
Mm,
you might want the results, but you don't want what I had to go through to get there. And sometimes when we set goals, we set them based off of what someone else is doing.
doing,
Oh, well,
yes.
I saw this person, they traveled here or they bought this, and okay, I want that. So I got to put my goals to where theirs are. Not
No.
necessarily. Make your goals to what you actually want. And people, oh well, if I had more money, no, well, not necessarily. There are other things that you can do. Facebook is free. You can jump on Facebook and share your talents and your gifts with other people. You don't need money to do that. But that opportunity can take you to other places because you never know who's watching.
I that is exactly right. And I want to say one more thing. Be careful comparing what you've accomplished to the apparent accomplishments of people on social media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe they are doing what they say, maybe they're not.
Yeah.
If they're not, then you know not to compare yourself to them, but you may not
Mhm.
know what they're accomplishing. And maybe they are, but you don't know what they had to sacrifice to get there.
Yes.
And maybe that's not what you're willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
So let's make sure you are comparing yourself to the best self you know you can be.
And when you're
Yeah,
setting goals, Julie, sorry to interrupt, this just popped in my head. When you're setting goals, I think it's important to sit down and talk about why is that your goal? Because some
exactly.
people might have a goal and they have no idea why. And now they can't create strategy. They can't create, when they go to put their schedule, like when you shared the scheduling, a lot of people don't even know why this is their goal. So they have no idea what they're doing. So they don't have no idea how to time block for it. Make sure you know why you're doing this or what you want the end result to be. So if you go into this and you want to become an investor, well, why? You're trying to do this with $0. Your accounts are negative, and you're wanting to buy a $350,000 house that you can go out here flipping and resell because you saw someone on YouTube say it was easy.
Mm,
Why do you want to do it? And then once you find out why, go find people who have actually done it. Look at what Julie is doing. She is giving you resources for free. She's giving you the tools for free to help you in not just investing, but in life. Find those people who are doing it and doing it well. Because I would say, in my opinion, Julie, you're an amazing investor. Doing it well. You have some hiccups. I've seen the lives where you had to, and I
yeah.
told you this, if you need me to show up, I'll be there. But find those people who are sharing and figure out, is this something that I want to do? And I remember when I was first in college, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. And I get into, my bachelor's thing for school. And my second semester, we have law too. And we had a group project, and no one in my group wanted to do the work. And of course, me, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. We get up there to do the group presentation, and I'm the spokesperson because I'm the only one that did the work and got my, what's a good way to say this? We're on Facebook. I
Your
got my,
hiney handed to you?
yes. And when I went back, the instructor just lit into me, and my group is just sitting back looking. I dropped out of law school. Well, bachelor's, I changed my major that day because I was like, what I'm not going to do is argue with the professor. Well, ma'am, you're going to be a lawyer. But it was one of those things where I had to make a shift. I thought, I watched the Huxtables. I thought I want to be a lawyer. Nope. I gave that up real quick and decided I was going to do medicine until I got my they give you the courses that you got to take.
Mhm.
And I said, "What's gross anatomy? This sounds fun." And she said,
Sounds
"Yeah."
gross.
That's exactly what it was. She said, "Here's the address to the hospital, and you'll just go in the basement." I'm like, basement of the hospital? That's where they no. That's not what I signed up for." So sometimes you are looking at people and you want that to be the goal until you figure out what goes into getting to that goal. And I
Oh,
didn't want
exactly.
any parts of either one.
It's interesting. What I do in my investing is because at this particular time in my life, my time resources to do it are higher than maybe most other people. And I remember maybe about a year and a half ago, somebody asked me, how do I do what you do? I'd like to do what you do. And I was quite frank. I said, you have young kids
Mm-hmm.
and you have a lot of things taking up your time. And also, this person's very social, likes to spend time with family and friends. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty much all I do
Yeah.
every day. And I enjoy it. I don't need to take a vacation from it because I'm constantly charged by
Mm,
what I do.
yeah.
So
That's how
not
you know you're
everybody
doing what
wants,
you love.
yeah, not everybody wants to do it like I do. They might want to, I don't know, go on dates with some girlfriend or something, and maybe they want to, yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very happy. I'm very happy. And I also had to be mindful of my children, right?
yeah,
I couldn't just say, well, you're two, get your dinner. I had to wait until they had some measure of independence. And
yeah.
so I could separate from them and go do something else. Because
Hmm.
remember, one of my important life goals was sane, independent members of society.
Yeah.
Another goal is a long lasting till death to you apart marriage.
Hmm.
And I'm going to tell you, even though I love my husband and he's the perfect man for me and there is none better,
Hmm.
we haven't had a perfect marriage. I haven't been the perfect wife. I have made very poor decisions at times. So is he. He won't admit it, and I rarely will. But, perfect people don't get married. There is no perfect marriage.
Yeah.
You commit to each other, even though you're going to have periods where you're not happy.
Yeah.
Even though, and people don't necessarily believe me when I say this, but no matter what happens, there's always some sort of betrayal in a marriage.
Mm.
It may not look like what we're taught betrayal to look like. There's
Yeah.
always something. And if you want to be married to forever,
Hmm.
you're gonna have to get past it. Figure out
Yeah.
how. And sometimes getting past it doesn't mean you've got smooth sailing. You just
Hmm.
got committed progress.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
it's
it's like
it's still
dealing
not
with
perfect.
communication,
Hmm.
because you can get upset at a spouse and go for a week in silence. Well, if you can learn to communicate at that corporate job, because you're not going to give your manager or that boss the silent treatment, why
Hmm.
would you treat your spouse or your business partner or anyone who is helping you grow? Why would you treat them indifferently that way? So I think that is very important. There are no perfect people who do this right every single day, because if you think so, life is going to throw some curveballs and
Yeah.
it's going
A
to hurt.
curve is coming.
It's going to
A
hurt.
curve is coming. And
Yeah.
I know a number of people that have been married a long time. One of them, one couple, they were friends of my mom and dad. My mom passed away.
Mhm.
And I was asking them, I was like, I'm really struggling with, for example, my relationship with my father. I
Mm.
don't know if any of you know my father out there, but it's not the best. And I'm kind of done with him. Not
Mm.
because he's a bad man, but because my cup drains so quickly with his presence that I'm not ready to do what it is I need to do. And I'm going to share something this is totally real. I've even told my father this. There was one day he made me so angry, and I was pregnant with my son.
Mm.
And if you've ever been so angry where you just feel like everything's boiling inside, and
Yeah.
with that boiling feeling, I felt my son move like he was in discomfort
Mm.
within me. And I said, I can't be in such a state that this poison within me is affecting my child.
Right.
I can't do that. I had to make that decision,
Mm.
and there are a lot of people that are like, well, they're family and it's your father and you got to accept. I'm like, no, no, because my responsibility at that time was to my son and to
Right.
my daughter. I
Hmm.
couldn't have anything over here, no matter what it was,
Yeah.
diminishing the commitment I made to them.
Right.
So
I think that's
sometimes
really good.
family
Yeah.
can't be the best for you, and you can love them with a long handled spoon.
Yeah, and I think that's when it comes to when you were talking about setting the goals. I think sometimes we try to force ourselves into
Mm-hmm.
certain circles or friendships or relationships because we think that we're going to get the thing that we need from it. When in reality, sometimes you just have to say, I got to pause this person
Mm.
because when I'm around them, there is something inside of me that gets so riled up that it stresses me. My blood pressure goes up. Like I tell people when I'm talking to people, I can see that their shoulders are up like this.
Yeah, all of like
They're
this.
stressed out. And I'll say, breathe, bring your shoulders down. Like, what's going on? Because they'll
Yes.
start talking about an incident and you can see them, they getting tight, tight, tight. Breathe. So when somebody is around you and they make you do this with your shoulders, there's something going on that's deeper. And are you forcing yourself into conversations? Are you forcing yourself into? I remember one time I invited myself to go out with someone. It was probably the biggest mistake of my life because it was not my, it was not where I was supposed to be. And I regretted it. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to be there. I needed to
Mm-mm.
love this person from a distance on that day and not be in that environment. And I could feel my whole body tensing. And so, to your point, when you're, it doesn't matter if it's the people who gave the people in your family, cousins, it doesn't matter. If there is someone that makes you get that feeling that, oh my gosh, my stomach hurts when I'm around you, or my head starts hurting every time you talk, you might need to change who you're around. And it is okay to go and network with new people. It's totally
And I will say I've had a couple of friends pull away from me. And
fine.
of course it hurt because
Yeah,
if you care about them, you want to be around them. But just like there are people you have to get out of your lifeboat and you
yeah.
may love them, but you have to love them from a distance, you may be toxic to somebody else.
Mm,
You're just going to have to
yeah,
accept that
that's
and
true.
respect that for them.
That's
Because
true.
here's the thing, I know I'm a lot. Nobody has to tell
No.
me that I'm a lot,
Yeah, yeah,
but don't expect me to change a whole lot. I'm not
yeah,
going to do that. I will try to understand someone's particular
yeah.
needs emotionally or whatever.
Mhm.
And I'll be straight up. Yeah, I can't handle that for you. This
And
is
that, but see, that's the thing. You'll communicate. Some
yeah.
people won't communicate that, and I think that hurts both people because if someone is doing something where it's continuously driving people away, and
Mm-hmm.
no one's ever telling them
Talking
that,
about it.
hey,
Mm-hmm.
you need to get that checked out, then like think of it this way: the brakes on your car need to be changed, and your steering wheel is shaking when you hit the brakes, and no one's ever telling you, hey, those brakes are on fire, you're gonna crash if no one's giving you that feedback. So I think I love that about you. Is like you will give people, hey, that's not okay, or you're making people feel like this. There are people who will stay silent, and I
Yes.
don't like the cliques that want to gossip about
Mm-hmm.
people and smile in their
Mm-hmm.
face. That's never been a part of what I could do. But you'll know because they will start moving away and the conversations will change. If you're the problem, ask them, hey, is there something that I did? Is there something that I could, work on? Because you will crash and burn if no one gives you that feedback. Or if you shut yourself down and say, well, I'm the greatest thing to slice bread. It's not me, it's them.
It's
No,
them.
the problem
Yep.
is probably you. So be open to someone saying, hey, you hurt my feelings when you said X, Y, and Z. Or when you approached me
Exactly.
and you did this, you made me feel a certain way. I think that helps to strengthen relationships versus you just completely shutting someone out and saying, you suck. It's all you, because now they're going to keep on doing the same
Yeah.
thing.
Well, I think that kind of honesty strengthens good relationships and
Yeah.
destroys the ones that need to go away anyway. And then one of my pet peeves is when someone comes to me and says something like, well, I've been bothered by this for a long time and now I just want to be done with you. But they haven't
Oh,
said anything to me. And then the next thing is, well, you should have known. I'm like, I don't freaking know
mm.
what's in your head because I'm too busy with the stuff that's in my head and my heart. This is, if you want
Yeah.
me to accommodate what's going on with you, and you
Yeah.
aren't checking in with me just to see if I'm even on the same chapter, let alone page.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I think like other people, and other people don't think like me. And things
Yeah,
that bother other people don't necessarily bother me, and
yeah,
vice versa. So
that's true.
if
Yeah.
now, okay, let me just back up. It still hurts when someone pulls away like that.
Yes.
But I will say the last two people who have done that to me, I just called up my therapist. I said, look, I'm dealing with something. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling confused. You know what's going
Mm,
on.
good.
Um, and I put that to bed. I,
Yeah.
I was hurt. I
Mm,
didn't want to lose them as a friend, but there was nothing I can do about that. That friendship
yeah.
was gone. And what I thought it was probably never was.
Yeah.
And so that's what she helped me realize. It
I'm
wasn't what I thought
so
it was.
glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that because that's one of the things I wrote down that you said was therapy. And
Yep.
people run from therapy as if it's a bad thing. When in
Hmm.
actuality, I love that you just said your therapist helped you put it in perspective. Because if we only see our perspective ever, we'll never have productive relationships. We will always think that the people that are in our corner are truly in our corner. And at some point, they're just tolerating us. And so I think that is so good that you have that outlet of someone who's a third party neutral who doesn't know that other person. They just understand the situation and they can give you a new perspective. If people out there are listening and you're struggling with those thoughts, you're struggling with those feelings, don't be ashamed to go and talk to a therapist. There are plenty of colleges out there that have psychology departments where they will do the therapy for you. I can't remember what school it is, but I believe it was free. And if I can find that resource, I'll come back here and post it. But even if you can't find it for free, that is an investment. That should
Oh,
be
yeah.
part of your goal because it can absolutely change your situation, your mindset, the way you think. And I love that you mentioned that because your therapist gave you a whole new perspective that you otherwise might have just said, nope, it's just my perspective. That's how it is, and they're wrong, and that's it. I
There.
love that.
And one of the things that I know is that I'm a very selfish person.
Mhm.
I love, but I don't naturally think about other people
Mm,
and what they need and what they want. You
yeah.
kind of have to tell me. And
Mm.
depending on what day you're talking on, I might be, oh yeah, I'm gonna try to make that accommodation for you.
Yeah,
Or every
yeah.
day I'll be like, yeah, that sounds like something you just have to deal with because I'm not changing.
Well, like my father used to say, "A closed mouth don't get fed." So
Exactly.
you
So
don't
just
speak
just
up.
say it, right? Just
Yeah, yeah.
we'll see. And I going back to what I said, I know I'm a lot. I know I have been a lot for my husband,
Mm, yeah.
but I know he loves me. I hope he
Mhm,
knows I love him. But
mhm.
love is not enough. It's not
Yeah.
just love, it's commitment. In spite of all the stuff that happens during the course of a marriage, it's
Mhm,
getting past misunderstandings, getting past hurt feelings.
mhm,
And I'm
mhm.
not saying they go away and you just never feeling and now you're back in
Right, right.
nirvana. No, that's not how it is. It's
Yeah.
still staying committed in spite of what it's not being your happily ever after Disney fairy tale ending. Just assume that's not going to exist. That's not what marriage is about.
And everything that you just said can apply to business. That,
Friendships,
yeah, it
business,
falls right there to
marriage.
how we're running our business. It's not going to be a fairy tale every day. It can be the greatest opportunity, but as you grow, you
Mhm,
have those growing pains.
exactly. Anything worth committing your life to has to be worth being committed through the difficult times.
Diligence. Yes, that's good. That's good. This is so
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you,
Yeah.
Julie.
Well, no, I appreciate it. Now, if there's anyone else that wants to step up and say something or ask something, either let's see, actually, I think we have to do it through chat. I'm still new to StreamYard and how it works. I know that if you've used the link, you can come on stage like Shalena did. If there's anyone in the back studio that wants to step forward and say something, I'd appreciate it because I could talk forever, but I do like to hear others and and learn from what anyone else has to say. Oh, hey, Robin, how you doing? Enjoy what you were saying. I can relate. Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And did you see that? Somebody said thank you for sharing, Shalena.
Yes, I just saw
Shalena's a
that.
sharing person.
Yes. I was trying to jump over to Facebook to see if their names are showing up over there so I could thank them.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm still, there's no way I was going to ever get around to streaming like this if I had to wait until I could do this perfectly. So
Right.
there are
Sometimes
going
you
to be
just
some
gotta do
hiccups.
it.
It's going to be fun. Let's see what else. I got to tell you, I love this. One of the things my mother used to say all the time is, don't be mediocre, be exemplary. Be an
Mm,
eagle that soars. But eagles rarely soar in flocks,
yeah.
which is you're going to be alone if you're striving for excellence.
Mm,
While that's true, I'd like to create an atmosphere where the eagles can come together and kind of rest and shore each other up and hang out and conversate in the eagle way.
yeah.
I know conversate's not a word, I just like to say it. So just have a place for the egos to take a respite from the solo soaring
Yeah.
and hang out with the pack. So this is pretty much it. I like to keep it at about an hour. Sometimes I go over, but I'm trying not to. Thank you guys for sharing this time with me. And if you felt someone else could learn from this, please invite them. Next time, if you'd like to join, the StreamYard link will always put you in the background and I can bring you to the stage and to share like Shalana did. Thank you so much for
My
sharing.
pleasure. Absolutely.
And I hope to see you guys out there soaring in your own individual way. Thank you again. This has been Pitranomics Thursday Talk. I'm Juli Pitra, and I'll see you guys next time. And I'm going to end this broadcast.
Bye,
Y'all
guys.
take care. Have a fantastic week. Bye bye.